John. Good to hear from you, mate. Thanks for sending me young Jacob swinging. I just pulled it up on the V1 system and put it on loop for a couple of minutes just to watch what he's doing, watch his action, watch how he's concentrating on what he's trying to do, and very impressive, I must say, very impressive. For 7 years old, I think he's got a great idea, and the things that you're talking to him about are obviously very, very close. I've identified a few things which I would like you to start talking to him about. And the first one, and let me just stop you there. And what I loved about this was the fact that he stopped. He had the awareness to stop. And you see Tiger do this. You see a lot of the pros do this. He got up there, and then he stopped because. And I heard this when you sent the video over. There was just a duck going off in the background, right, somewhere over here, and he heard it. It put him off, and so he stopped. Lost his concentration. That put him off. He stopped. Recoup, concentrate, pull the trigger. Boom. That was excellent. That was really, really good. But like I said, picked up a couple of things. And the first one is a routine. I see he has a practice swing next to the ball there. If we rewind it, he has a practice swing next to the ball. He keeps his balance, right, and then just walks in and has a look where he wants to hit it. Goes back. That's where the duck put him off. But then, like I say, recoup, starts again. But what I would like to talk about first is his routine. If he's 7, he's got a great idea with regards to technique. But you can bet your bottom dollar there's other 7-year-olds in his county, in his state. If he entered an under-8 tournament somewhere in Maryland, then you can bet that there's guys who have other 7-year-olds who have got a full routine, just like the pros. All right, and that's one of the things which I don't see young Jacob doing here. All right, he has a practice swing next to the ball, and then just walks up and hits it. So one of the things I want to talk to you about first, and we can kind of term it like this, right? We can talk about it in a way where if we draw some boxes, this is the plain box, all right? This box behind the ball, all right? Notice it's behind the ball so that we're always going to be looking down the target line this way, all right? But what we want to try and do is we want to stand in this box here, all right? This is my little stick man holding a golf club, all right? And in this box, what we're going to do is we're going to start our routine here, and this is the decision-making box, all right? And now you're going to decide what club to play. You're going to decide where you want to hit it. But he's 7, so let's keep it nice and simple. Let's start off with a very simple catchphrase of see it, feel it, and do it. Right now, what that means is in this box, what we're going to be doing is I want him to start following a process. And Rory talked about this. Rory gave the world some great information over the weekend when he won the Open. He said he thought about 2 words all week, right? Talk about keeping it simple, right? He thought about 2 words: his process and spot. Process meaning when he's around the ball, just go through his routine, go through his process, and then walk up and hit the shot, right? His process will include seeing the shot, feeling the shot, and then walking up and doing the shot, right? So in this box here, his decision-making box, I want him to start seeing the shot, right? So just talk to him about imagining where the ball's going to go, where it's going to land, right? Where do you want the ball to land? And then imagine hitting the ball there, right? That's your first step. So you're building up your imagination skills, right? You're building up your imagery skills. And that's part of the process. This is very important. So the first step is seeing it. The next step is going to be feeling it. So with the club in your hands, you're just feeling the movement. You're rehearsing what you're going to be trying to do. And then from there, once you've done that, you follow the two little, and use this as a baseline routine, baseline process. We want to see it. We want to feel what we want to do, feel the shot, rehearse the shot, and then we're going to walk up and do the shot. All right, so very basic routine. And if you're 7, there's going to be other 7-year-olds out there who've already been taught this. You know, I want you to start teaching him this as well, because this is really gonna help his golf game. You teach it him on the practice area, obviously, right? Different clubs, different targets, and just go through this routine. Right, see the shot, see where you want to hit it, feel the shot, and then walk up and do it. And just stand there for an hour, just going through that routine. So it almost becomes second nature to him. Right, so that's the first thing. Now, with regards to his technique, one of the things that I picked out was he's moving his head a little bit, right? So, you know, one of the things we want to do in a good golf swing is we do not want to move our head, all right? If your head's moving, your eyes are moving, all right? Now, don't forget the ball is stationary, the ball never moves, right? So if our head's moving, it means our eyes are moving. One of our senses, you know, this information source that we feed our brain with, right? Our eyes, right? One of our senses. Well, if our eyes are moving, you can see how, you know, there is where his eyes are at the top of his swing. His head has moved, you know, maybe 3 or 4 inches. So now his head's moved, now his eyes are looking at the ball from a totally different perspective, right? So that's changed, right? It's almost like the ball's moving, which just makes it too difficult, right? So let's look at the reason why he's moving his head, right? And this is called, you know, so first thing is a steady head, right? Must keep a steady head. The next thing I want to talk about, which will help keep his steady head, is something called counterbalancing, right? And what counterbalancing really means is, you know, a quick explanation of it would be, well, the club, his hands, his arms are all moving to the right, so obviously, you know, the momentum of that, obviously we need some speed to get up to the top to make that nice big turn up, right? The momentum of that is obviously going to pull us to the right, which is what you see happening in young Jacob's swing there. If we put a little line next to his right ear, right, all that momentum is pulling him to the right, okay? So the idea behind counterbalancing is basically, well, if we focus on our left leg and our left foot, right, and let's say at the start we're going to put 55% of the weight in our left leg, right? Now, as the club starts moving, right, by the time you get up to the top, I want you to increase the weight in that forward leg. And that's basically what counterbalancing is, all right? It's going to help you stay centered in your golf swing, all right? And I want you to try and explain this to Jacob a little bit, all right? If we pull up an example, you know, we pull up a pro, you know, we draw some lines here, we draw some lines up by his right leg, we draw some lines next to his right ear, you know, and this is Justin Rose, undoubtedly one of the best swings on tour, right? You can see there's no There's no lateral movement going on in his backswing, right? So his head doesn't sway. He's got a little bit of chin swivel. I don't mind a bit of chin swivel to help you turn your body. But you can see his right hip actually moves away from that right line, right? And during his backswing, the space in between his right pocket and that right line actually increase. Right? So there's no lateral movement away from the target. Right? This space here increases. Now, the idea, and you know, without question, I'm sure Sean Foley talks about this sort of stuff with his pros on tour, is, you know, we're starting with a bit more weight here, and then by the time we get up to the top, he's actually increased the weight here, right? And then during the downswing, we're going to increase it even more with the lateral thrust of the hips, which gets us down to impact, right? So what I'm seeing with Jacob's move is, let me get rid of this. What I'm seeing with Jacob's move is there's just a little bit of a lateral move, isn't there? There's a bit of a bump into his right hip. There's a bit of a bump to the right with his head. So this idea of counterbalancing, right, is really going to be huge with regard to staying centered for him. All right. What I'd also like you to do is teach him to just point his toes out a little bit more. You know, it looks like his right toes out nicely, but you can see his left toe there is a little bit too straight for me. Let's get his left toe out a little bit more. All right. And that'll help him. Sort of increase the weight into his left leg. All right. So that's called counterbalancing. That's important. That's a huge part of the puzzle with regards to the golf swing, particularly a modern golf swing, centered golf swing. All right. And then the next thing I want to talk about is with regards to actually coming down to impact. Right. And what I love about young Jacob's swing here is just how his feet look anchored to the ground, right? You've really got this idea of his feet rooted to the ground. There's no sort of roll. His feet are rooted to the ground like they're a couple of tree trunks, and his feet are planted, right? Now, you know, obviously with what you've taught him, as he starts down, his legs are pushing down into the ground even more, right? So there, you know, he's actually squatting. You look at the start of his downswing there. I mean, that's impressive. That's where you see all the pros, right? Both legs have gone to a bent condition there. But what you see the pros then do is go from a bent position to a straight position, right? Now, although this leg's nice and straight, this leg is still bent, and that's why he's losing his balance. You try putting all your weight on your forward leg with it still being bent, then that's gonna, you know, it's gonna be very difficult to keep your balance. All right, so the next piece of the puzzle, straight left leg. All right, if we pull up a pro. I'm going to use Justin Rose as a reference. You look at how his legs go from bend it, left leg bends going back, right leg straightens a little bit, right, which produces the correct hip turn, right hip higher than left, tailbone always moving to the left, right, which allows this kind of tilting action with your body, this extension, but then your legs go both into a flex position because we want to push down into the ground, but then they're going to go into a straight position. So you can see, even through impact here, his legs already straightening. All right, now this is why young Jacob's struggling to keep his balance, because that leg is just too bent. All right, so when he's up here, obviously, balance side of it, we want to try and balance on this left foot, okay, but we want this left leg straight, okay. We want to go from a bent position here, where you're pushing down into the ground, there, to a straight position. Okay, so this is what kind of causes the extension in your body. If you're pushing down with your legs and then straightening up as if you're jumping off the ground, obviously your body is going to extend, which it does. Okay, he's nearly there, right? I'd say he's 80% there, but by straightening his left leg here through the shot, he's really going to get more extension. And obviously that extension combined with, you know, tilting and turning is what's going to cause that better whip cracking effect with his arms and the club and his hands, right? Through the shot, I mean, you know, what impresses me a lot is just before impact here, how he's still got some nice conditions in his arms. He's got flat left wrist here, and just before impact he's still maintaining a bent right wrist, right? That's very impressive. That's very, very impressive. That impresses me a lot as a golf coach, right? So with regards to balance, all right, then that left leg is really going to help his balance, right? Because that's a huge part of the equation as well, right? That's almost part of the process. You've got to start here, right? Start off behind here in this box, then walk up and hit it. But part of the process as well is making a good movement, a technically sound movement, and keeping your balance. So straightening this left leg is very important. So there's some great things to be getting on with regards to talking to him about on the golf range, John. With regards to a drill, I think a great drill would be just to build up his awareness, just so that he understands it and he's starting to feel it. What I'd like you to do is on the practice area, just walk up this way, you know, kind of not necessarily bend down on your knees, but maybe, you know, you're standing somewhere here, right? And I want one hand on the side of his head here, okay? And I want one hand on his left leg here, right? And I want you to just pat his left leg, right? So you're building up some awareness there, saying, so what you're doing is you're saying, put more weight here at the start, and as he's making his backswing, and, you know, obviously take the ball away, right? So there's no balls. So you get rid of all the distraction, right? So we're going to isolate this move. It's called isolationism. And then as he makes his backswing, you know, the club's going round here. Club won't hit you because it's going round on an arc. But as he makes his backswing, I want you to just say, right, I want to increase the pressure in this left leg, but also I want you to push into the left side of his head, right? So as he makes his backswing, he's going to actually be trying to push your hand back because you're pushing his head, okay? You're pushing his head this way, right? So he's got to push your hand back this way, and then that'll build up some great awareness to try to turn his body properly, right? So by the time he gets up to the top, he'll have, you know, increased the weight into this forward leg a little bit, but more importantly, he would have kept his head more centered. His head wouldn't have moved. All right, but I think that would be a great drill. You know, you can go and do that. And you could even take a club out of his hand. You could do it at home. Just tend to pretend to hold the club, and then, like I say, put your hand next to the left side of his head. Put your hand on his left leg. All right, bud. But it's very impressive. Go and practice those few things. Practice that drill. Keep talking to him about keeping his head steady. Keep explaining to him about counterbalancing, and send me another video in a few weeks or a month or so's time. All right, buddy. Excellent stuff.